We work in a rural area, which is in the middle of Zululand, where you have the interface of two different systems of law. So you have a customary law system, which is very patriarchal in orientation, and which does not maintain individual rights. It's always collective rights, and also the rights of women and children. And it's how do you help that community move from that customary value system to engage with this constitutional framework. And the issue for us around HIV/AIDS is how does the customary law system and its values and practices actually entrench vulnerability to HIV/AIDS, and helping the community surface that awareness, and helping the community also taking some ownership in terms of advocating for its interests and rights and needs to the state. I'll just tell you a story. We have a support group, and the woman who leads the support group was on stavudine, which is a medication, and was really struggling with the side effects of stavudine and how it actually impacts on her body. And so when she went to the medical health system to say, I'm struggling with this medication, because I don't like what it's doing to my body, I don't like the way it makes me feel. The health system's response, the clinic system's response was, well, thank God you're alive, and stop actually asking us these stupid questions. Now this woman was saying, well, are you saying that I don't have a right to the feelings that I feel? It was helping this woman actually struggle with that, in this, is it just a stupid thing to say, it makes me feel sick and I don't like what it's doing to my body shape, or is that my right? So what we did as an organization is help her go on that journey. So we helped her actually access what other alternative medications there were, what they were in the system, we helped her visit different centers, meet different people. And she came back feeling, no, she did have a right to ask for alternative treatment. But then she needed to think about, which we are getting, and through our kind of advocacy is not to take away people's autonomy. So not to take their battle on as the NGO's battle, but rather to help that person work through what strategies are they going to do, so that the ownership for that issue always remains with the person. It's not our issue, because we feel very strongly that's how empowerment really works. So this woman then, her sister had a similar issue with this medication, and together they devised this very simple strategy. They identified the leaver in their community who they felt would give them the most support, and it was the clinic sister. And what they did was that they went home, and they knew that this clinic sister, and it's really silly, but she loved cake. So they baked her a cake, and they invited her for tea. And they sat her down around their kitchen table, and they told her about their experiences. And she understood that these two women, who were very powerful in their community in terms of HIV/AIDS, that if they were feeling discontented with ARV treatment, that they had the power to actually contaminate other people's, or influence, that's a better word, influence other people's views about ARV treatment. So she wrote a letter for them, which they took to the clinic. And the letter said, it was written to the minister, the national department, the provincial department of health in our area. And it ended with these wonderful words: if these women give up hope, the battle in this area is lost. So these women took this letter to the hospital, which in this case is not just like jumping on a tram and going down the road. It's 2 journeys by bus, a long way away, in a context of extreme poverty. So spending money that you really need for food and for water to actually go and fight this battle, which is what they did. And they sat in the clinic together from the morning until late afternoon, with the sisters kept on coming in and saying, well, really, just move on, you're making a fuss. And they were saying, no, today we're not leaving until we see the doctor. And the sisters kept on trying to prevent them from seeing the doctor. And these women stood firm, and they said, no, we're not going until we see the doctor. And if we have to sleep here, we're going to sleep here. We're not moving. And eventually they managed to see the doctor. And they had this real interchange in the doctor's surgery with the sisters who were trying to say one thing, and these two women saying to the sisters, "You're actually lying." You know, they were trying to hide what had happened. And these women stood up for themselves. And because they'd got the knowledge, because they'd actually believed they had the right to actually have the treatment that they felt was more appropriate, because they actually felt through this process that they could own their own experience in a way, that they had a right to their own autonomy, the doctor agreed, and it was a whole bureaucratic procedure, but that it was a woman, actually changed the treatment. But through their actions, they managed to bring in alternative treatment into that area, which wasn't available before. So in that area, stavudine was the only option for people in the area, and they were able to open the space for other treatment options. So at some point, human rights was essential. Their understanding of their human rights was essential to actually enabling access for other women and other men to different forms of treatment, but also enabling an understanding that you didn't need to keep quiet. If you were unhappy, and however silly it might have sounded, you could own that in a way that you weren't going to be dismissed. And what that's led to is that they, in turn, have now mobilized the support group against another doctor who has been treating the HIV patients in that clinic really badly. And these women who have very little education have now done a research project, sat in the clinic, mobilized stories from other people about the doctor's treatment of them, and they in turn have now written a letter, which again, very low levels of literacy, very low levels of English, but they're taking this up with the hospital concerned. And at some point, that's again a response, a human rights response. In a culture where women, are not seen as really having much power, you don't often, in Zulu culture, it's all about what we call hlonipha. So if you're a woman and a man comes into the room, an older man, you will kneel down, you will not look in his face, you will not take up authority in any direct way. So in that culture, for women to act in this kind of way and take up authorities, and it's quite a significant action.
For further information on human rights, HIV/AIDS, and to endorse now more than ever the joint statement, visit www.hivhumanrightsnow.org.